Light. Learning about path and reflection of light and mirror images. The world is largely known through the senses. The sense of sight is one of the most important senses. Through it, we see mountains, rivers, trees, plants, animals, people, and so many other things around us. We also see clouds, rainbows, and birds flying in the sky. At night, we see the moon and the stars. We see various objects with our eyes, but we cannot see an object in the dark. It means that eyes alone cannot see any object. It is only when light from an object enters our eyes that we see the object. Reflection of light. One way to change the direction of light is to let it fall on a shiny surface. For example, a shiny stainless steel plate or a shining steel spoon can change the direction of light. The surface of water can also act like a mirror and change the path of light. Any polished or a shiny surface can act as a mirror. A mirror changes the direction of light that falls on it. This change of direction by a mirror is called reflection of light. Activity. Arrangement for showing reflection. Fix a white sheet of paper on a drawing board or a table. Take a comb and close all its openings. Hold the comb perpendicular to the sheet of paper. Throw light from a torch through the opening of the comb from one side. With slight adjustment of the torch and the comb, you will see a ray of light along the paper on the other side of the comb. Keep the comb and the torch steady. Place a strip of plain mirror in the path of the light ray. What do you observe? After striking the mirror, the ray of light is reflected in another direction. The light ray which strikes any surface is called the incident ray. The ray that comes back from the surface after reflection is known as the reflected ray. We have a narrow beam of light which is made up of several rays. Draw lines showing the position of the plane mirror, the incident ray and the reflected ray on the paper. Draw a line making an angle of 90 degrees to the line representing the mirror at the point where the incident ray strikes the mirror. This line is known as the normal to the reflecting surface at that point. The angle between the normal and incident ray is called the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence is equal to 45 degrees. The angle between the normal and the reflected ray is known as the angle of reflection. Angle of reflection is equal to 45 degrees. If we measure the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection, they will be exactly the same. Angle of incidence is equal to 45 degrees and angle of reflection is also 45 degrees. If the experiment is carried out carefully, it is seen that the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. This is known as the law of reflection. Now let us perform another activity on reflection. Activity. Incident ray, reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence lie in the same plane. Use a sheet of stiff paper or a chart paper. Let the sheet project a little beyond the edge of the table. Cut the projecting portion of the sheet in the middle. Look at that reflected ray. Make sure that the reflected ray extends to the projected portion of the paper. Now bend that part of the projected portion on which the reflected ray falls. When the whole sheet of paper is spread on the table, it represents one plane. The incident ray, the normal at the point of incidence, and the reflected ray are all in this plane. When you bend the paper, you create a plane different from the plane in which the incident ray and the normal lie. Then you do not see the reflected ray. It indicates that the incident ray, the normal at the point of incidence, and the reflected ray all lie in the same plane. This is another law of reflection. Now, let us understand more about the formation of image by a plane mirror in the following way. Activity: Image formation in a plane mirror. A source of light O is placed in the front of a plane mirror PQ. Two rays OA and OC are incident on it. Mirror PQ at the points A and C. Then draw the reflected rays at the points A and C. Now call the reflected rays AB and CD respectively. Extend them further. Extend them backwards. The point where they appear to meet, mark this point as I. For a viewer's eye at E. Do the reflected rays appear to come from the point I? Since the reflected rays do not actually meet at I, but only appear to do so, we say that a virtual image of the point O is formed at I. Such an image cannot be obtained on a screen. An image formed by a mirror, the left of the object appears on the right and the right appears on the left. This is known as lateral inversion. Regular and diffused reflection. Activity: Parallel rays incident on an irregular surface. Rays reflected from irregular surface and regular reflection. When all the parallel rays reflected from a plane surface are not parallel, the reflection is known as diffused or irregular reflection. These rays are reflected in different directions. The diffused reflection is not due to the failure of the laws of reflection. It is caused by the irregularities in the reflecting surface like that of a cardboard. On the other hand, reflection from a smooth surface like that of a mirror is called regular reflection. Images are formed by regular reflection. Now let us find out. Reflected light can be reflected again. Do we see all objects due to the reflected light? Nearly everything you see around is seen due to reflected light. Moon, for example, receives light from the sun and reflects it. That is how we see the moon. The objects which shine in the light of other objects are called illuminated objects. There are other objects which give their own light, such as the sun, fire, flame of a candle, and an electric lamp. Their light falls on our eyes. That is how we see them. The objects which emit their own light are known as luminous objects. Now let us find out. Reflected light can be reflected again. Multiple images. You are aware that a plane mirror forms only a single image of an object. What happens if two plane mirrors in combination are used? Let us see. Activity: images in plane mirror at right angle to each other. Take two plane mirrors. Set them at right angles to each other with their edges touching. To hang them, you can use adhesive tape. Place a coin in between the mirrors. How many images of the coin do you see? We can see 3 images. Set the two mirrors parallel to each other. Place a candle in between them. Note down the number of images of the object. Number of images are formed of a candle placed between them. Summary. Light is reflected from all surfaces. Regular reflection takes place when light is incident on smooth, polished and regular surfaces. Diffused or irregular reflection takes place from rough surface. Two laws of reflection are: 1. The angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. 2. Incident ray, reflected ray and the normal drawn at the point of incidence to the reflecting surface lie in the same plane. Image formed in a plane mirror undergoes lateral inversion. Two mirrors inclined to each other give multiple images. So students, that is all in this topic. Let us learn about importance of eyes in our next topic.